Imagine it's day 473 of the apocalypse. Humanity has mostly gone silent. The cities are tombs of noise and rot, and you somehow are still breathing. But not in a bunker, not in a farmhouse, and certainly not in a Walmart fortress. No, you're thousands of miles from civilization. Perched on the edge of frozen oblivion in an Arctic research station, staring out into a landscape where the wind itself feels like it's trying to erase you. Out here, the undead are less of a problem till you start realizing the cold doesn't kill everything. It just preserves. At first glance, surviving the zombie apocalypse in an Arctic research station seems like the ultimate cheat code. Isolation. Check. Fortified structures. Double check. Temperature so low it could freeze a zombie mid-snarl. That's practically divine intervention. But survival is never that simple. The Arctic doesn't forgive. It doesn't care about your apocalypse. It is an apocalypse of its own. The first advantage is obvious. Zombies don't do well in extreme cold. Their muscles stiffen, their movements slow, and at sub-zero temperatures, decomposition halts entirely. Essentially, you're living in a freezer full of failed horror movie extras. They'll stand there, frozen in place, like grotesque garden statues, until the temperature rises if it ever does. This means your immediate threat level drops dramatically compared to anywhere warmer. No hordes pounding on your door, no need to mow down waves of undead every morning. Peace and quiet, at last. But then comes the first problem. The same cold that slows them down also slows you down. Living in an Arctic research station means battling constant frostbite, managing fuel like gold, and fighting isolation that can gnaw at your sanity far worse than any zombie could. Most stations rely on diesel generators, solar panels, or small wind turbines for power. And in a world where resupply ships are no longer coming, every drop of fuel is precious. You'll find yourself becoming a religious figure worshipping the holy barrel of diesel, rationing it like communion wine. Then there's the food problem. Most Arctic research stations are stocked for months, sometimes even years, but those supplies were meant for scientists, not apocalypse survivors burning 10,000 calories a day trying not to freeze. You'll quickly discover the irony that the world's safest zombie refuge is also a slow-motion starvation trap. Canned beans and vacuum-sealed protein bars will become your cuisine of kings. Eventually, you'll eye the emergency rations with a mix of gratitude and despair, whispering apologies to humanity as you eat the last freeze-dried chicken from 2018. Let's not forget the water situation. Surrounded by ice, yet desperate for a drink, it's almost poetic cruelty. Melting snow or ice for water is easy in theory, but it consumes massive energy. Boiling water becomes a luxury, and every pot you heat up burns away precious fuel. You could try drinking melted ice cold, but that's an express ticket to hypothermia. You'll learn to conserve heat like a miser, wearing layers until you resemble a Michelin man who's seen too much. Still, there's an upside. The isolation that makes it miserable also makes it safe. Zombies can't swim, and even if they could, the Arctic seas are nature's blender. The undead wouldn't last long drifting through icy water or crawling across frozen plains. Even if they did make it north, they'd freeze solid long before they reached your door. In short, you've picked one of the few places where nature itself works harder than you do to keep the monsters out. The station's structure adds another layer of defense. Built to withstand hurricane-force winds, it's practically a bunker with windows. Steel frames, reinforced walls, sealed bulkheads, all designed for survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. It's not pretty, but it's reliable. Even a small research station has built-in panic rooms, emergency communications, and storage designed to outlast isolation. The downside? You're reliving in a glorified metal box with the ambiance of a refrigerator and the charm of an airport waiting lounge. Your daily life will become a delicate ritual. Morning checks of fuel levels. Solar panel maintenance if the sun decides to show itself for the first time in months. hunting for any stray radio signal from what's left of the world. You'll talk to yourself, argue with the wind, and maybe name the frozen zombies outside just to stay sane. You'll learn to love the hum of the generator because it's the only heartbeat left out here. If you're lucky, you might have access to a snowcat or tracked vehicle, your lifeline to the outside. But step beyond the safety of your station, and the Arctic reminds you who's boss. Blizzards can roll in without warning, burying landmarks, equipment, and even whole buildings under meters of snow. One wrong turn in whiteout conditions, and you'll vanish faster than the last government rescue broadcast. Zombies aren't what'll get you out here, it's exposure, accidents, and despair. Ironically, though, the Arctic may offer the cleanest future humanity has left. No crowds, no infection spread, no collapsing cities full of corpses. The cold sterilizes everything. If you can build greenhouses inside, powered by what's left of your station's solar or thermal systems, you might achieve a weird frozen version of civilization. Mushrooms, microgreens, maybe even a potato or two. Humanity reborn under fluorescent lights while the dead world sleeps outside. But there's a darker side to Arctic survival. The psychological grind. The long nights, months of darkness test your mind more brutally than hunger ever could. In total darkness, your circadian rhythm crumbles. Sleep becomes chaotic, dreams vivid and strange. You'll lose track of days, then weeks. The silence becomes so deep you start to hear your own blood in your ears. Some people thrive in solitude. Others break. And when the generator fails in the middle of a polar night, even the strongest minds start to wonder if maybe the frozen figures outside are whispering after all. Let's say you survive the first year. Supplies dwindle. The undead remain statues on the horizon. So the temptation grows to venture out. Maybe find another station, maybe even return south. That's when things get complicated. The Arctic is a maze of crevasses, unstable ice, and unmarked terrain. Compass interference, poor GPS reception, blizzards that erase your tracks in seconds all combine into one message: stay put or die trying. Still, you might not be entirely alone. Some stations host small, nuclear, or geothermal systems, rare, but not impossible. If you find one of those, you've essentially won the apocalypse lottery. Power forever, warmth, and maybe the ability to expand your little kingdom of ice. You could even attract survivors if they can reach you, but be careful what you wish for. More people mean more mouths, more risk, and less privacy. The Arctic can support one person for years, but a group. That's a ticking time bomb of hunger, paranoia, and arguments about who gets the last chocolate bar. There's also the chance that your isolation backfires. Imagine the infection mutating zombies that can withstand the cold, or worse, remain semi-frozen but aware. You might walk outside one day and see them twitching under the ice, eyes moving behind a frozen sheen, waiting for spring. When the sun returns and temperatures rise, the Arctic could suddenly host a reawakening and undead thaw, millions of preserved corpses reanimated at once. A global popsicle melting into chaos. You'd watch them stumble to life through the fog and realize nature's freezer was never a cure, just a pause button. So, is surviving in an Arctic research station during a zombie apocalypse good or bad? The answer depends on what kind of survivor you are. If you're the stoic type, quiet, resourceful, unfazed by solitude, as close to paradise as the apocalypse offers, you can outlast the world, watch time freeze with the dead, and maybe even rebuild something new. But if you crave warmth, connection, or the sight of trees that aren't frozen solid, then it's a beautiful prison at the end of the earth. The Arctic is both your sanctuary and your sentence. It shields you from the dead, but strips you of everything that makes life alive: color, noise, human touch. It's peace bought at the price of eternal frost. You'll survive, yes, but survival in the Arctic isn't about fighting zombies. It's about fighting the slow, creeping numbness that settles into your bones and your mind. Out here, Even the apocalypse whispers quietly and freezes mid-breath. In the end, surviving in an Arctic research station is neither wholly good nor entirely bad. It's simply pure survival, stripped of romance and chaos alike. It's the end of the world, wrapped in silence and snow, where the last human heartbeat might echo softly against the wind, then fade into the endless white.